Hey everybody, it's What Drives Us, number 132, recorded Wednesday, March 18th, 2015. My name is Russell Frost. I am your only host this week because sadly my normal co-host and partner in evil is down with, well, I just referred to him as a walking sack of infection. So suffice to say, Mr. Cooper is fighting several different things, and we genuinely hope that he is feeling better very, very soon, and hopefully we'll be back next week. Until then, I am left in the very capable company of a fantastic panel this evening, including, but not limited to, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Oh, that's me. Hey. Hi, everyone. Yes, glad to be back. Sorry I missed last week. I know you're more sorry than I am since you left it to just Russell and Danny. That might have been what got him sick. So I want to go ahead and start off this week with a bottle of Metropolitan Brewing straight from Chicago, Illinois. Sticking with my local theme. So I've got my Boulder beer. Wait, it's upside down. Hold on. I got my Boulder beer, Church Key, my Chicago beer. I'm going to have a good time tonight.
Mr. Cooper, you know how to make a great show, don't you? Or Mr. Cooper? Mr.
He would, but he's not here.
Yeah, he would. No, he's lying on his couch moaning in pain right now, probably. To hear him tell it, at least. Well, since we have a soon-to-be well-lubricated Tony Schaefer, our next panelist is obviously a regular, and his name is Patrick Connor.
Hello from Oregon. And a tidbit that'll be relevant a little later in the show is that in 1919, Oregon was the first state to have a gasoline tax.
I didn't know that.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Nice little tidbit there.
That's a good tidbit. Interesting that Oregon led with the gas tax, isn't it?
Yes, very interesting.
Wow.
Bunch of communists.
Sounding better this week, Mr. Connor. It's nice to hear you.
Thank you.
And last and certainly not least, he is the man in the very spiffy Tesla. He is our...
At a loss for words.
Okay, he's got a Tesla. He's got a big beer. He's going to tell you about it. His name is Dr. Evan Fusco.
Yeah, hey everybody. I came pre-lubricated, so I think that's a good thing.
For our enjoyment.
Absolutely. And I'm drinking a homebrew IPA. And my brand new, I got these fancy Sam Adams glasses because it's supposed to make the beer better.
I like those glasses, actually.
Does it work? Is it working?
Yes. Very well.
So your beer did improve.
Well, it's just, we could talk about beer glass shapes at some point, but it helps, yes.
That's true. We used to have a show that did just that.
I remember that. Those were good times.
That was a very good tasting show.
Absolutely, absolutely. But let's get on with our more important topics, the topics that people actually listen to the show for. And that is, let's see, starting off tonight with, well, I don't want to say it's the reason that Patrick is here, but let's just say that we are lucky to have someone here in Oregon because the first topic...
Oh, wait, are we going to do 2-minute topics?
Oh, excuse me, thank you. You see, I get lost without Danny.
Oh, boy.
Let's start with 2-minute topics. And Patrick, since I already talked about you, why don't you start off the 2-minute topics?
Okay, I've got a picture up here for my 2-minute topic. We just had an event here at Portland International Raceway called Dream Drive for Kids. And this was an event for sick children from nearby hospitals to come and take a ride in a Tesla Model S P85D.
Nice.
And Tesla was part of the event. They're doing a P85D tour. And I don't know if you guys have seen these, but there have been a whole lot of videos out there about the insane mode for this car and people just really enjoying the acceleration. And the videos from this event are equally great. The kids have such big smiles. This is putting the EV grin to good use to help some kids that have had to suffer more than they ever should have. So you can check out this organization at dreamdriveforkids.com. Or just Google it. They've gotten a lot of press lately, and there'll be a link to this article in our show notes. That's my 2-minute topic.
And say again, who Tesla donated the cars or local owners?
A local owner organized it, and then Tesla is doing a P85D tour, and we got them to on their swing through Portland to come and to this event. So we coordinated it with
Nice.
Tesla.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
good.
Nice.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very cool. And, there's nothing wrong with, getting some potential customers and later on excited about Tesla and EVs.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't just EVs, but that was the majority of the cars there.
That was the cool cars there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Did I say
The ones
that?
they really liked.
The really cool cars. Evan, do we have a 2-minute topic from you this week, sir?
I do.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so mine's a pretty soft topic, and if I can get the overlay to come on, that would be great, but it seems to not want to play. Here we go. Let's see if that shows up. So mine also is Tesla related. I know that's shocking to everyone out there. I know. But this is Ben & Jerry's has customized a Tesla, and if the link gets posted to this article, it's kind of cool. They have a built-in ice cream freezer in the back of this. It's like a big slide-out drawer. Sort of reminds me of what they'd put a coffin on in a hearse, but it's ice cream freezers instead. But it pulls out of the back of 3 big ice cream freezers. So they're going around the country and advertising Ben & Jerry's and this souped-up Tesla with a ice cream freezer in it.
That is pretty cool. So does the freezer actually run off of the Tesla's batteries?
Yeah, nobody knows for sure. That's an interesting question. I suspect it's through the 12-volt system because that would be a lot easier to hack, but who knows? Maybe.
Or they could just throw some blocks of ice in there.
Exactly.
That's secretly at night you see somebody stuffing ice into a styrofoam-lined trunk or something,
That is pretty cool, though.
That's
I didn't think they were actually putting the ice cream in there. I just assumed they were driving from Ben & Jerry's locations to Ben & Jerry's, where they already have ice cream.
Yeah,
Right.
I wish I'd grabbed that picture for everybody. It's somewhere in one of these links in the story, but the whole idea is the theme is Save Our Swirled climate tour. So it's supposed to be advertising plus climate change stuff and things like that. So. Yeah, hence the Tesla is justified, I guess, since they're saving our world.
Forgive me for being just a little cynical here, but can I please have the job of driving the Ben Tesla around the country?
Full of ice cream.
Yeah, Sam, I'm not sure the ice cream would be safe.
Yeah.
Right.
Not sure?
I thought you meant... When you said you were going to be cynical, I thought you meant, did anybody bother to tell them about the methane emissions from dairy cows?
There's that too, right? No, I mean, I wasn't even going to go there. But hey, good for them. You know what? It's all about lots of people doing something.
And Tesla getting some good press this week.
And good for them. So, cheers.
Yeah.
Last and not least,
Mr. Me.
Mr. Schaefer.
So I have hopefully a picture of a BYD.
Good old BYD.
Yeah. So here's the crazy.
No, wait, I'm sorry.
Here's the fun part. So BYD, Chinese manufacturer, and in a surprising turn, they're looking to sell upwards of a couple hundred BYD all-electric vehicles with the purchase price to the tune of $52,000 to Uber drivers in Chicago.
Okay.
So let that sink in here. A $52,000 car is being purchased just to be used by Uber drivers. Now you read into it, and what you find out is they could also lease them. But something that I didn't know, and I've always kind of prided Chicago a little for being a green city. There's a lot of green roofs, and they've pushed the fleets to become greener. They've actually started outlawing some of these older cars. And the city of Chicago actually offers $10,000 rebates for taxi fleets that purchase electric vehicles on top of Illinois' $4,000 rebate. So you're looking at $14,000 coming off of this, which brings it down to a still kind of high. What is that? 49,000
Yeah.
or 30, right?
Do
That
they
would
qualify for the federal 7,500 as well?
be, I would say probably it's not mentioned in the article, but I
Yeah, why not?
really
Why
don't
wouldn't
see
it?
why not. Yeah, yeah.
Now
So
you're 21.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, when you consider all the rebates, it does make sense. I wouldn't mind seeing some electric taxis driving around the city of Chicago. I would certainly use one if I saw it there. And, maybe BYD, which is actually backed 10% by Warren Buffett, who got in to BYD in 2009. Perhaps there's something there. Maybe this is a foot in the door for them. Maybe they'll actually have a decent, decent product to offer. This is a good way to find out.
I wasn't aware that they had any vehicles that were actually
Drivable?
crash tested.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
Yeah, I
They were
didn't
cleared
either.
for sale in the U.S.
Yeah, that's another reason why this article kind of jumped out at me. I mean, one, an EV taxi fleet in Chicago by a company I didn't even know was making production vehicles.
For
I
So-
think they are making production vehicles for China.
Just
Well,
in
we-
China.
Very different crash test requirements. And what's that term? They might be non-homologated. I don't remember. This might be something that they're allowed here in some test capacity only, but not for normal sales.
Mm.
If
Yeah.
Chelsea were here, she would know.
Chelsea,
Yeah.
wherever you are. That's interesting. I mean, it's a cool idea. I'm not, and if it actually does net down to like 31 grand, it's certainly a lot more attractive.
Hmm.
But then why wouldn't they just buy a car like the Volt or the Leaf and use that? What does this have that they don't?
Well, maybe the Leaf, but Chicago is pretty savvy, like I would expect Portland, and would be people who know what they're talking about. If you bought a Volt and said, "Oh no, it's an EV," I think they would say no, we know better. So maybe a Leaf, I'm sure a Leaf would qualify.
Does it
I'm
say
just
what
not-
the range is on these?
So the range was mentioned at 127 miles.
Wow.
Oh wow!
That's,
On a test that's not the EPA's, mostly downhill.
Well, this is yes. It does say that it's EPA rated.
Oh wow!
EPA rated at 127 miles of range. If I can follow the link real quick.
Interesting.
Let's see where
Yeah.
this is coming from.
I didn't get
I feel like
the link ahead of time because that's interesting. Does it say how much battery capacity it has? It's got to be 30-some kilowatt hours.
Okay, so this link took me to fueleconomy.gov, and it does not seem to list the battery size.
That's too
So,
bad.
did it say anything about supercharging or
Oh, yeah.
kind of rapid charging kind
No.
of capacity? Because even at 127, if you believe it, it's going to be hard for an Uber driver to maintain. If they're going to try to pay for their vehicle via Uber transports, they're going to need to be running pretty much all day, and they're going to need to quickly charge up somewhere.
Yeah, this is not an article that goes into that, the details like that.
Right.
So
Yeah, so we know that Europe and U.S. are into CCS or the CHAdeMO combo, and Japan is all about. Or I said, let me take that back. I misspoke there. That the European manufacturers and the U.S. manufacturers are about the J1772 combo, and Japan is about CHAdeMO. So what's China doing? I have no idea what their fast charge solution is about. Because we need yet another one, because having Tesla and CHAdeMO and CCS, I can't even keep them straight for this list. We need one more, obviously.
Yes, at least.
obviously, yes.
what we need is a really pretty charging plug.
Yes.
Right. Aesthetics are everything.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, thank you very much. That's an interesting article. We'll have to track, and maybe if you can make a mental note. I'd love to see, if you hear any follow up or get any kind of, do you see the cars on the road or anything? We'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, let me write a mental note right now.
Doesn't Chicago already have some electric garbage trucks?
Yes,
I saw an
and
article a couple years ago about that.
yeah, that is one thing. Chicago really has been pushing. The Daley administration really started pushing, greening, and to that extent, like I said, green rooftops and a lot of awareness. And Rahm Emanuel, who's the mayor now, has continued on that. So, yeah, it is a very green city for its size, the number of people, and the waste that it generates. A lot of heavy enforced recycling. Yeah, so they do a pretty good job.
Good. It's good to hear. Well, let's get into the main news. As as my clever teaser might have led you to believe.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about something that's taking place in Oregon. There is an organization called Orego. That's OREGO, and you can actually find them at myOrego.org. They are, and you know what? I'm gonna Patrick. I almost want to turn this over. Do you know a lot about like where this org came from?
Oh yeah. So this has been going on for several years, and this is actually their second attempt at this. So they have it in their FAQ there. You can go and look at it. But we know. Let me who let the dogs out here?
Sorry.
That's all right. I have some stuff here I can share.
Yeah.
So the gas tax, when it was first passed, most of the cars had about the same miles per gallon. It wasn't a huge difference. And today we're getting into a case where there are some cars that don't use gas at all, like mine, and others that are getting 16, 18 miles per gallon. It's radically different. So we have to do something. We want to improve the mile per gallon. We have the CAFE standard, moving it up to whatever it is, 54 miles per gallon. So I agree that they have to do something, but I don't like what they're doing.
I mean, if I can jump in here. So
please do.
Here's the thing. And I haven't, and maybe this is just something that I haven't seen, but I haven't seen anyone make the case mathematically that said because we have more efficient vehicles, because we have some vehicles that don't use any gasoline at all, that the revenue stream is decreasing. What I do know is that people are driving less and using less gas, and that we haven't raised gas taxes anywhere that I'm aware of to account for inflation in God knows when. So what we're looking at is increased costs, obviously, in maintaining roads and declining tax revenue.
Yes, exactly.
So
we had what we called peak driving in 2008 for Oregon. There's charts. You can see the miles driven, and it's been going down ever since 2008.
Right, and I think that's nationwide. People are driving less. So what some people have come up with are these bizarrely complicated tax. I want to say it's like a use tax, a mileage tax, rather than taxing gas, because the line is that all these very efficient vehicles and vehicles that don't use gas are getting off for free, even though they're a tiny fraction of the cars out there. And even though the cars that cause the most damage are the ones that use the most gas, so there's sort of a built-in fairness factor there. This, you know what? It's a scam. This scam has come up with where we're going to charge everybody by mileage. And we're going to come up with these complicated methods, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to charge the big, heavy, gas-wasting vehicles less, and we're going to charge the people that use less gas more, and that's going to make it all good.
Don't forget the benefit of adding a layer of bureaucracy to the whole thing.
Right, and a layer of complexity. All of a sudden, you have to track your mileage.
Yes.
It's what's commonly called bullshit.
Well, I think it'll be a lot easier when we just allow NSA to plug the little thing into our cars and track our mileage for us.
A little thing.
Yeah, that little GPS thing that they plug in that syncs up to the Raptor satellites and tracks where we are at all time. as well as records our phone conversations. See,
Elon's already doing that to me anyway in my Teslas.
Yeah.
Evan,
One of
I'm
the options is to have a
watching the video.
GPS.
Right.
Okay, so Patrick, now I got to rant for a few minutes. Was I wrong in particular?
Let me add a few points here. So
Please.
EVs like the one that I drive don't use any gas. So even though I don't like this, I want to dispel the fact that I don't like it because it ends my free ride. That's not why I don't like it. Several of my EV driving friends that I've talked to, we all agree we use the roads and we want them to be free of potholes just like all the other drivers out there, and we don't mind paying for it. Especially here in Oregon, where our Department of Transportation has done so much to support EVs. I want to make sure that they get funded. So that's not why I don't like this. There's a graphic that we put up on the What Drives Us Facebook page that shows this plan would increase the amount that someone who drives a Prius pays and decrease the amount for a gas-guzzling 18-mile-per-gallon truck. And that's just putting out the wrong sort of incentives as far as I'm concerned. So, we talked about Hummer incentives. Go ahead, Russell.
Yeah. In other words, the maker of high-margin, big trucks and gas-wasting SUVs want another subsidy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And another selling point is really what it is. Yeah, and of course, Patrick, I completely agree that I'm using less gasoline. I'm using half as much gasoline as I used to in my previous car. And I don't mind, I don't like potholes. I like bridges that don't fall down when I'm driving across them.
Important things.
The minor things that make your drive to work a little more pleasant. But, I don't mind finding a way to, if need be, chip in a little extra since I'm consuming a little less but still using the roads just as much. But I agree. I don't think it's necessary or even a good idea to incentivize people who are driving, the less fuel efficient, more damaging vehicles. And on the other side, I just talked about how the city of Chicago is giving Uber drivers incentives to buy electric cars, and now Oregon's talking about how they can disincentivize people, in effect, for driving electric cars. I mean, what? You give you one incentive and take it away with the other hand.
Right, yeah. Especially when we have federal incentives and other things to encourage EV use, to then increase taxes on them seems ridiculous, in my opinion. So it's easy to shoot down things. I want to propose something else. Go ahead if you want to say something first.
Well, no. In fact, maybe I'm going to ask you the question you're about to answer, which is, okay, so Patrick, let's turn this around. How do people with EVs contribute?
Right. So a majority of our funding for the roads today comes from property taxes. So you're paying that. Even if you're renting, you're indirectly paying that. So there's still that funding. But here's what I would like to see them do. Leave the existing gas tax that we have in place. It's already there. We're used to paying it. Gas prices are relatively low from where they have been the last couple of years. So leave that alone. If they want to add a small vehicle mile travel tax or usury tax or whatever they want to call it, right now it's 1.5 cents per mile for this program. Make it a quarter cent per mile. And then every biennium adjust it for inflation. That way, over time, as the cars become more fuel efficient, the gas tax will go down, and this VMT will slowly, over time, become a larger portion of the road funding. And do it in such a way that it's revenue neutral, or like I said, adjusted for inflation. That way they're funded, they're not putting out the wrong incentives, sending the wrong messages to the market. I think that's a much better idea.
So in Missouri, I pay a set $75 a year fee for driving an EV. And actually, it's an alternate fuel fee. So it applies for CNG vehicles and any other fuel that doesn't have another means of assessing a road tax to it. And to me, I think it's completely fair. When I did the math of how much I paid in taxes on gas for my Prius versus what I'm paying for this, it was just about a wash. It really came out pretty close, and I consider that fair, reasonable, and frankly, it's really easy. The only downside for me is they give you this 3x3-inch colored sticker you're supposed to stick on your windshield, and I just can't do it.
If they made it look like a Longhorn, or they made it look like a Razorback, you'd be all over that thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cut it into the shape of a.
So I'm trying to figure out here. In my previous car, I got about 30 miles per gallon. I drive about 12,000 miles a year, so I consumed about almost exactly 400 gallons. Now, if the gas tax is 12 cents, I'm trying to think. What is the average gas tax? Did you say, Patrick?
I didn't, but I can look it up.
And you got to figure it out for your state tax as well. Is really the only way to fairly do it, because you can't include the federals in there.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. At 12 cents a gallon, if my math is right, which doesn't sound right, I paid $48 a year.
Well, so there's a federal 18.4 cents per gallon tax, and the average state tax is 30.4 cents per gallon. This is as of 2013, so this is dated a little bit.
So that's like 22.
So on average, we're paying about 49 cents per gallon of federal and state taxes.
Okay, so that would be $400, or 400 gallons times 48 cents. So that is
less than $200.
Yeah, and so now since I'm, that was at 30. Now I'm averaging about 60. So I'm paying about half that. And yeah, if you figure it out to a usage, I don't mind chipping in the difference, because again, I'm not driving less. My wear on the roads technically have remained the same. But I mean, I agree with you. Everyone else who's driving the same amount, there's no reason that their usage should go down. That just doesn't make any sense, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, they said they did the math on this, and it's everybody's paying about the same as a 20-mile per gallon vehicle. So, so if you have a vehicle that is worse than that, you pay less, and if you have one that's better than that, you pay more.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
No,
exactly.
Why do you put the benchmark there? That's
right.
Crazy.
Because car companies want to sell bigger.
Because there's a nice even number that politicians could work with.
Yeah, I just, this usage tax is just stupid for so many reasons. And I, you know what, I agree. Let's put it this way. I drive a Prius. If the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania said tomorrow, Russell, you know what, you're driving a lot less, you're buying a lot less gas, so we're going to clip you $50 a year, or whatever it is, fine. I have no problem paying for the roads. It's not, I didn't buy a Prius to get out of paying the gas tax. I bought a Prius to get out of buying gas.
You're right, right.
And stop polluting as much. So, I mean, that's not... I don't mind paying my fair share for that, but I'm not going to subsidize somebody's F-150 or dually turbo diesel. That's
exactly
just stupid.
Right, right.
On the flip side of this thing, once instituted, it probably won't impact behavior in any measurable way in reality. I think people that are going to buy a fuel-efficient vehicle are still going to buy a fuel-efficient vehicle, and they'll be pissed off about the taxes and complain it's unfair, but I don't think it's going to affect behavior.
I don't disagree with you. I just don't see the reason why we should walk into something that is intentionally skewed.
Right.
I'm not worried about it going, oh, I'm not going to buy that. I'm not going to buy a Prius because of the stupid gas tax.
Yeah, I don't think it's intentionally skewed. I think the people who dreamt it up just don't know better.
Oh, no. I think it's intentionally skewed.
I think they're just too stupid to come up with a better idea.
Isn't the National Auto Alliance behind this?
I don't know who the backers are. I know that when this first started getting talked about, General Motors flew someone out here to advocate against it.
That's interesting. Very interesting. I
wonder if they see the impact on their Volt drivers.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, again, GM's not going to shut down if they sell less Volts, and they're not going to sell less Volts. I think Evan brought up a good point. I doubt people who buy fuel-efficient vehicles or EVs are worried about the gas tax or about a usage tax.
Right, yeah, a few $100 a year in taxes versus the $1,000 you'll save in gasoline.
Yeah, when I purchased my $84,000 Tesla, I wasn't factoring the $75 a year sticker. It didn't really come to mind.
So,
now you can't. You can barely afford it.
so
send in the car back.
along the same lines as a mileage and a usage tax, there is some trade groups are agitating for something else that I just don't get. I mean, I guess anyway. The point is this comes from a story in Green Car Reports last week. Our friend John Volker wrote it. That is talking how some car makers are agitating for credit if the cars they make are safer, as opposed to higher in MPG. So what they're saying is, look, there are credits, there are incentives for fuel-efficient vehicles. How come there aren't for cars being safer?
Now,
maybe they should
Russell,
get an incentive if the car's prettier as well.
Right.
That would be good.
Right. And I do want to interrupt you there, Russell, just for a second, and point out, I agree, it's really stupid. Okay, I'm done.
This is so cynical and evil. I just don't get it. We had legitimate discussions about whether or not high fuel-efficient vehicles should be in the HOV lanes back in the day. A couple of years ago when this was an issue in California, I think those were legit discussions because those lanes were set up to decrease the number of vehicles on the road. They weren't set up to incentivize high MPG vehicles. I think it's a good thing that they did, and they didn't overcrowd in most cases the HOV lanes, but that was a legit discussion. The idea that, okay, so we subsidize high MPG cars because there's a number of benefits that we reap from that, so we should also subsidize cars that are safe. I mean, you would think that's like the base bottom line, like, yeah, my cars are safe. I want to make my cars safe.
Well, okay. Yeah. Someone has to take the other side. I'll try to see their point a little bit and see if this
Good
makes
luck
sense.
with that.
Yeah.
You're going down, pal.
Yeah. What's the point of the show if we all just wow, that's dumb?
I think sometimes it is, but go ahead.
That was the point.
Go, you contrarian.
If you make a 3-star crash rating, you still pass all the safety tests. It's still a legal car to put on the road. But if I want to add some extra supports that adds extra weight, reducing the gas mileage, but now I get a 4-star crash rating, but it lowered my MPG. And if I'm trying to get to 54.5 as an average, but I could make a safer car, just losing a couple miles per gallon, maybe I should get some points for that.
Well, I'd have a hard time proving that, but that's not even the argument they used. I mean, if they would have tried to use that argument, I would have said, okay, 1 or 2, maybe. But considering that they base their argument on things like lane keep assist is going to make the roads safer, and therefore there will be fewer accidents, and fewer accidents means less stopped and idled traffic.
Ugh.
That was their argument.
Wow, there's a stretch.
Yeah.
So because the car has active cruise control, it'll brake before it rear ends the car in front of them because the driver's texting. And because of that, your morning commute won't be backed up for 20 minutes while you sit there idling. And, they said this one, who was it? The college somewhere said it could reduce fuel consumption by like 30% or something just by, University of California, Riverside. It said over the entire U.S. vehicle fleet, gasoline consumption could fall as much as 30% just because the cars are safer. Therefore, they need to be more subsidized. Now,
that is a ridiculous argument.
But that is assuming that every single car in the U.S. fleet has all of these safety features.
Right, because it only takes one to cause the crash, and then it doesn't matter if the one behind them had it or not. We all have to wait.
Right. And yeah, the one that caused the crash is the 1986 Impala.
The argument that it's going to save gas because cars aren't going to be idling. Well, hey, why don't we put in idle stop technology into all the cars?
Ding, 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 ding.
Save gas there, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to save gas, raise the gas tax.
Hey! Look at how we've come full circle.
That's going to solve a lot of problems. Raise the gas tax.
Yeah.
But the argument against that is it's a regressive tax, and the poor are the ones that are hurt the most by it.
That's absolutely true, and the same really with this, because the poor are the ones that can't afford cars with lane keep assist.
Right.
They're driving the '86 Impala because that's all they can afford.
Right.
No, I mean that's I don't know. This is just so harebrained. It makes the usage tax look sensible and normal.
When I first saw the title on this, I thought they were arguing that they should actually get to rate the car higher. Like the window sticker should say it gets more, but that's not it. It's just toward the cafe standard, which is not the same as what they advertise in the window. So yeah, that one took me a second to figure out what are they talking about. Of course, that doesn't make it get more miles per gallon.
No,
right.
But what they're saying is, a big huge Denali that gets 12 miles to the gallon but has lane keep assist, should count towards cafe.
Should qualify for the EV incentives.
Of course, right. Yeah, software weighs a lot. And,
yes, there are a lot of ones. The zeros don't weigh anything, but the ones, things are heavy.
Right, yes. The internet altogether weighs as much as a strawberry. Look it up.
Which brings me to sort of the next thing, and you want to talk about really making things like lane keep assist and active cruise, dynamic cruise, and all that irrelevant. Let's talk about self-driving cars for a minute.
Oh yes.
This is sort of like everyone's link bait right now is autonomous cars and the Google car and the Apple car, which doesn't even exist, but hey, let's talk about it. Interesting article on Wired last week about the changes that self-driving cars could bring. And we've talked about this on and off over the years quite a bit. But I think it bears mentioning again as we move closer to a reality where self-driving cars could actually start being deployed, at least in some testing capacity. The point of the article, the headline is self-driving cars will make us want fewer cars, and I don't want to say it's obvious, but I think it's very obvious. I think it's totally true. Anyone want to disagree with that premise?
Well, I just want to know why they decided to make all the people in the picture wear the virtual reality goggles.
Yeah, I grabbed the image here. You can see everybody with their Oculus Rift on, just ignoring each other as they get commuted around. Awesome. Yeah, why would you not want to do this?
That looks so, I don't know. I'm sorry. I look at that picture and I just think that's so twisted.
They're probably playing racing games.
Yeah, right.
They're also
pretending that they're driving. Although, you know what? I will say this: if there were self-driving cars, I mean, this part actually could be neat. You wouldn't need taxi drivers per se, and perhaps
Johnny Cab.
Yeah, and perhaps nice reference. Perhaps carpooling and ride sharing would be more popular if you could just get in and it just goes from stop to stop, picks people up, drops them off, and drops them off in order. So maybe maybe we would want fewer cars if we didn't have to worry about garaging the cars ourselves, and we could just have a car on demand. I don't know.
The article mentions a few things that'll change. One of the numbers in it that I thought was really interesting is that most people don't drive their car 95% of the time. So,
wait, what?
Wow, that's some twisted logic.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, your car's usually in your garage or a parking lot.
Or it's sitting there. You're only driving your car 5% of your day.
Okay.
Okay, but my plates are only used about 2% of the day, but I really don't want to get rid of those
Right.
either.
Well, well, you don't, and I'm going to promise you, most Americans don't want to get rid of their car either. But what this is saying is that we buy this big expensive thing, we pay for insurance, and then most of the time it's sitting there.
So what you're saying is, I could not own the car, and then have this, like I said, you'd have a car on demand. So I could program, have a car show up at my house in the morning, take me to work. I don't care what it does throughout the entire afternoon. My car's sitting in the parking lot soaking in the sun anyway. And at 4:30 or 4:45, my ride shows up, takes me home, and then I don't care what it does at night. Is that what you're saying?
I guess that's what the article is suggesting, and that's what the technology is suggesting, yes.
And to me, said exactly that way, it makes perfect sense.
But when we all become automatons and we have entirely predictable schedules and we leave our house at precisely 7:04 a.m. and we get to work at precisely 8:08 a.m. and then we leave work precisely at 5:02 p.m. and then we have no other spontaneous needs in our lives, that will be ideal. But in the real world, I have kids and things that come up, and I am needing my vehicle at very different times every single day. Yes, there are consistent times, but
you need to get your kids on the schedule.
Apparently, I do.
I think, Evan, arguments like that are what 99% of the American public would say, and I totally get that, and it's totally specious.
And
what?
I'll
tell you why. I'll tell you why. If, Evan, you could pick up your phone and go, well, let's put it this way. Autonomous cars don't mean that no one can have a car. You can have a car if you want. Buy one. Then it's there, wherever you want, whenever you want. Right? It's yours. It's sitting in your driveway. It's in your parking lot. But if I don't want to have a car, and I still do spontaneous things like you were talking about, like, oh, God, the kids are late. What am I going to do? Well, the car that I've ordered is sitting there, and I'm paying for it, probably by time and mileage. So I'm paying for it. It's waiting for me. Oh, I want to go to the winery this weekend. I'm going to call the car and go, I need a car on tomorrow afternoon. I need a car in an hour. I need a car now. And a car comes, and I get in it, and I go. And then when I'm done, it comes, it drops me off, and it goes somewhere else and takes somebody somewhere else when I'm not using it. I understand.
Aren't those called taxis?
Right. So, yeah, we have car share programs today, Zipcar and Uber and taxis and other things that could help fill in the gaps if you want to have something like this, an autonomous car, and maybe you do have a change in schedule and it's not available within the 5 minutes you need. Where I work, we have a Hertz on-demand car in the parking lot. So because we have a lot of travelers, people coming and going. So if I had something like this, or if I were getting ride sharing with somebody and get dropped off, and then I get an emergency call during the day, I can just run out into the parking lot, grab that car, and go.
I think, let's put it this way, unless you've lived in San Francisco or Manhattan, maybe urban Boston, maybe some parts of LA, you don't really have any kind of grip on what it's like to live a normal, active adult life without a vehicle. I do, and I know there's a few million others of us that have. And you know what? When I didn't own a car in San Francisco and I wanted to go to wine country, I rented a car for the day. I went to Enterprise with my friends. We got in the car and we went. And I didn't worry about paying for the insurance and trying to park it and moving it at 3 in the morning because of San Francisco's bizarre and Byzantine parking regulation.
I don't know. I gotta. Yeah, sorry, Russell, but I was gonna say I gotta wonder if autonomous cars like this, one, if they would promote more mass transportation, because I can never forget the argument against or for, depending on what side of the fence you're on, what they call the golden mile. The fact that the train drops you off at the train station, but you still are a mile away from where you want to be eventually. Something like this and taxis, make up that, that thing, that bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. On a nice day, you can walk it. On a not so nice day, call a taxi or call a car.
I can see the bile rising in Evan through the video.
I know, it's
I'm just
fun.
not buying
great.
this. I'm not buying it. I don't see Americans'
What about
desire for that independence.
let's look at it another way. What about an autonomous car that you owned, but you could have it take you to work and drop you off, and then you tell it to go home and let your family use it during the day, and then you tell it to be back for you an hour before you leave, just so it's there in case something happens.
Yeah, I can almost see that. Again, I think it depends on the family and the lifestyle and who it is and what your schedules are and how many kids you've got and things like that. And don't get me wrong, I think autonomous vehicles are cool. Would like to have one. Wouldn't mind being able to sit and read on my way to work rather than fighting traffic.
Oh,
But
hell, you just want to go to a Razorback game, get hammered, and have the car drive you home.
There is that.
Yeah.
But I fewer vehicles, yeah, I think that's a long way off and a bit of a
What a Tesla owning Luddite.
Evan, I don't disagree with you in that. I think it's a long way off because I think the biggest hurdles we need to overcome are the mindsets that we've developed over the last 100 years, where everybody gets their own car 24 hours a day and gets to do whatever they want with it. That's by no means in our nature. It's not genetic. We don't have to have a car.
All I know is there were a lot of cars in Minority Report. So.
Lots of other cars, lots of other countries live in a very different manner than we do.
I was about to say that. I was about to say I could see something like this really taking hold in other countries. And the United States will adopt self-driving cars and fewer owned vehicles shortly after metric.
I mean, look at it from just a resource allocation standpoint. What we do is absolutely ridiculous. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense to build all these cars that don't really do anything most of the time. I understand freedom and getting in the car and all that. That's great. I'm not even poo-pooing that as much as it sounds. But what I'm saying is it's not something that.
So I think I see it. Look. I mean, I can see it for a segment of the population, and I think if that segment of the population represented enough of a decrease in vehicle purchases, it would make sense. College students, I mean, look at those guys. I mean, they don't touch their cars for weeks sometimes as they sit in parking lots, and it's perfect for that population, particularly if they need to drive home. And most kids these days, apparently, if mine are representative, don't give a damn about learning to drive anyway. But like you said, the big cities make sense, perfect sense for me there. But there's an awful lot of people that aren't within those specific populations that need to go out and buy groceries spontaneously and are not going to be interested in plugging in something in an app and waiting for a car to show up and getting in and waiting for it to show up again after they've gotten their groceries. And I just don't see it as a massive thing. I think it would be a tiny segment of the population it would impact.
So we just need to wait for your kids' generation to be the ones that are doing these shows, and they'll be like, I can't believe people used to drive. What a waste of time they had.
Fill those things with gasoline. You know that explodes, right?
Again, we may not be more than a generation or two off of that. I'm telling you, it's bizarre.
Look at the miles driven. I mean,
Yeah.
we're seeing a precipitous decline. Kids aren't getting their licenses when they're 16 like they used to. And they're not driving right away, and they're driving less. One other thing that was in this article I thought was really interesting is saying that because the car design of an autonomous car is going to change fundamentally, because we're not going to need to structure the vehicle in the same manner, that we're going to save some space. Maybe as much as 75% of the space that we now reserve for parking cars. And what that means is 5.7 billion square meters of space.
I don't know what a meter is.
It's like a cubic meter.
You know, that makes perfect sense if it, catches on, and if the car simply drops you off and moves on to its next, let's say, reservation. Yeah.
Or it sits somewhere and waits for you. But I mean, again,
don't confuse autonomous with car share. They might go hand in hand, but they're not necessarily together.
Yeah. Okay. True. Good point.
While we were talking about this, I did a little Google, and here's an interesting article from yesterday. Elon Musk says human-driven cars will be banned in the future.
Yes.
You can't have a human driving a 2-ton death machine.
Wow.
Of course, this is exaggerated, but that's just funny.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the full context of that story was that at some point, clearly, autonomous vehicles will become. Oh my gosh. Say hello to my wife. Autonomous vehicles will become safer than human drivers, and at that point, the argument for allowing humans to drive becomes much more difficult. And when autonomous vehicles work and they're easily programmable, they go everywhere you want, and they never violate the speed limit. Who needs to drive, and who should be allowed to drive, and why should they be allowed to drive? Except maybe as particular recreational activities, you can have special areas, and you can go and drive your car. And now I'm getting the song "Red Barchetta" in my head.
I was waiting for the Rush reference. Nice.
I would hope that autonomous cars get a higher speed limit since they're safer and can react much faster.
Yeah,
that would be a nice incentive.
And think of the fuel they'll save by not having accidents. They won't be using gas. So who's going to pay for the upkeep of the highways once we have autonomous cars that nobody owns? Thank you. Circular reference of the night.
Nice.
Yes.
Well, speaking of Tesla, the last thing we wanted to talk about tonight was Tesla. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific.
I think so.
Elon Musk is going to mount a rostrum somewhere and tell everyone why he is personally ending range anxiety.
Wait a minute, let me look up rostrum.
It's
hold on. Let me look up hashtag.
Technically, it's a nose, I believe.
So I just, you know what? I just wanted to know if anybody in the panel had any guesses. Wanted to go on record as saying anything.
So after reading literally every post in the now up to 90 pages on Tesla Motors Club's forum on this particular subject, the speculation has been crazy with people that don't understand what an over-the-air firmware update is. And suggest that we are all somehow going to get larger battery packs and.
He's going to make the car fly over the air.
Yes.
It's just been bizarre. If you could just delete everything, it'd be down to about 10 pages at least if you could delete all the idiots. But I think that the general consensus is that it will be some combination of a marked improvement in the navigation system that's going to allow better trip planning, and there will be more specific guidance so that you can use waypoints, particularly the superchargers, to guide your trip. It can make recommendations as to speed so that you're sure to arrive at your destination, recommendations of how long you might need to charge, or at least to what range level you need to charge at each supercharger to make your next destination. And hopefully, I'm optimistic that will also incorporate to some degree an at-home trip planner so that you can log into your computer, plan out your route, and then upload that to the vehicle. So when you jump in, your whole route will be planned out completely ahead of time. There may also, some of the other speculations that it seems a little weird that Elon would hold a press conference just to announce a simple software update. So there's some suggestion maybe he's going to make some announcement about the Model X at the same time, or that there may be some collaboration he's made with another company to, for instance, PlugShare or one of the other EV planning sites, or maybe a large corporation that'll involve some additional chargers across the U.S. It's hard to know, but clearly I think it's a nav system, because if you're eliminating anxiety, basically what people need is information, so that they know that they're going to make the destination. And the speculation that it'll be improved battery range and stuff is just crazy.
Right.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And it can be done over the air, but it doesn't have any link bait at all. So nope, that's not.
Right. Well, now I read that Elon Musk is going to use Tesla to come out with the Apple Watch killer. How's that, Patrick? Was that good enough
That's
for you?
much better. Yes.
All right. All right.
Here's how the press conference should go, in my opinion. Elon should come out, walk up, go, "Hi, everybody. I am Iron Man," and then walk away.
Yes.
Walk away. Don't answer any questions. Drop that bomb. Mic drop. Thank you. I'm done. Now, you know what, Evan? There was one bit of speculation I wanted to ask you about. I didn't know what the percentage is now, but part of I thought the interesting speculation was that that this over-the-air update might allow users to use a higher percentage of the battery than the software currently allows, which is kind of a dodgy way of doing things, but
again, increasing range won't eliminate range anxiety, right? I still can't get to Memphis, even if you give me another 50 miles of range from my house, or it'll be very, very close. So I'm still going to have anxiety about whether I'm going to make it to Memphis in my car.
I would have anxiety about driving to Memphis.
yeah.
I like Memphis, but well, that's possible. I think it's very unlikely. I don't think they would risk the damage to the battery unless they've been doing a lot of work on the side and found that they can, allow an extra 5% or something, once a month.
Well, they have recently announced that battery degradation is less than expected. So you're right that even if they did that, that's a minor point of alleviating range anxiety. The big claim that he tweeted. So it could be part of it, but it's not that important if it is.
Yeah, it's certainly feasible. It's certainly possible with an over-the-air update. It's not an impossibility, but it doesn't seem likely to me. It'd be like Toyota saying that they're going to increase the range of the Prius plug-in by 5 miles by opening up the rest of They're just not going to do it. They're not going to risk that battery.
Yeah.
Can I write that down?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, and bury it somewhere in the several pages of the Tesla owners.
I agree, Evan. I think you're probably. Anybody else? Any other crazy stuff besides Elon being Iron Man?
They did say that he did tweet that this was not about battery swap, so he took that off the table.
Well, wasn't the original thing? It's an OTA update that's going to make this change.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So of course everybody immediately jumped to battery swapping stations.
Right.
right. Battery and bigger batteries. So
they're going to send you batteries over the air.
Yes.
Because he is Iron Man will fly to your house with a bigger battery.
He's going to fly them to you, which counts over the air.
Pick your car up, drop the bag, shove a new one in.
Yeah.
It's all about
push you down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll leave you some Ben & Jerry's ice cream while they're at
it. Nice. Okay. Well, I think we
circling back. See how that circled back?
It all circles
completed
back.
The loop.
It's an all Tesla, all ice cream show this week, which makes me very happy because I love Tesla and I love ice cream. So there you go. Hey, I think that's our show for this week. Not bad, guys.
All right.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad, thank you. As usual, I want to thank Michael Mannering for our theme music. You can visit him at manthing.com. I actually have a plug this week. I want to thank European Eyewear. These guys. See this?
Those are some slick specs.
My brand new goggles came from European Eyewear, and he made them just so I could wear them on the show. Because
nice.
The other ones, these are fine, but I actually got these and I literally said, I'm never wearing these out in public. These are just for desk work.
Mm.
And then we started doing a video version of the show, and the only glasses I had were these. And suddenly, I'm not even wearing them out in public. I'm wearing them on the freaking internet.
Nice.
So, yeah. So I want to thank Joe at EuropeanEyewear.com for these. It's huge. I appreciate it. I love them. And let's see, what else? Thank my brother-in-law Gerald for my Gonzo shirt.
Gonzo. What's a Gonzo?
Oh, what are you talking about, Fusco?
What's a gonzo?
Oh,
But that was some kind of news reporting style.
thank
thought
you.
it was a Muppet.
Thank
I
you.
thought it was it was a Muppet. I was going Muppets.
No, Patrick wins. Hunter S. Thompson. Do I need to get you some books, Evan?
I don't know how to read.
It's true.
Says the guy with more degrees than I have. So, and that's it for me. Let's see. Speaking of Evan, you got any plugs this week?
Only if you want to read 90 pages of ridiculous predictions about what Elon Musk is going to say over at Tesla Motors Club.
I say start at page 1. Let's go.
Yeah.
I can't read.
Maybe we should do the whole. Maybe we should read all 90 pages on the show.
Yes, we should act them out.
Pantomime. We could like pantomime, you know?
Yes.
Okay, maybe not.
Maybe
Well,
for
next
next week's
week's
show,
show.
we could talk about what he did announce, and then read the funniest, stupidest one. for this night.
Awesome. Yes. Book it.
I think Mr. Connor has just predicted next week's show. Thank you for that, Patrick. And speaking of Patrick, hey, how about some plugs for you this week, sir?
Sure, I'll give a couple of them. So my 2-minute topic was Dream Drive for Kids. Definitely check them out, dreamdriveforkids.com. And then after my 2 weeks ago when I was on, I was whining that someone had stolen my URL, so I went and registered my own domain name. So now you can find my blog at carswithcords.net. You no longer need the blogspot in there. Carswithcords.net. Yep.
Cool.
Although when I migrated it, I lost all of my comments, which is really too bad. Oh well.
So
Now-
please, everybody go there and comment.
Right, yeah, start at the beginning, read all of them from the last several years, and comment on everyone, please.
Comment randomly.
You're great.
Just copy
repeat
and
that.
paste the same comment into each one.
I love this article. That's all you have to say.
I'm gonna copy and paste the default text from PowerPoint. The lipsum irsum
Laura Ipsum.
ipsum. There it is. Yes. Yes.
There you go. Mr.
Thanks,
Shaver?
Tony.
before
Well,
you
I
go-
want to give a shout out to some of our page likes. Carl Lindemuth and Amy Poland, Dale Kaiser, Tyler Eidelman, and Jeremy Knight. Thanks for liking the What Drives Us page. Really do appreciate it. We're glad you're here. Glad you're watching the show. Hopefully you're enjoying our links. And I don't know. That's it. I just want to say thanks to the people who actually take the time to give us a like and a shout out.
Yeah, I want to throw in Tom Stangle's always. He sends me PMs during every show, and he's always got some interesting comments. So I appreciate him listening in.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Yes.
Tom. And Glenn Hutchison. You know what? Austin Kinzer, I have my lovely wife who works really hard at getting people signed up. But can I just ask a question? Does anybody notice that we went from 608 to 599? And I want to know who the 9 people are that we pissed off last week.
I think there's a way we could find out.
Is there?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I think Facebook did something wrong because on the OEVA page that I manage, we lost about 20 people. And then I went and looked, and it said on that day that we lost 20 people, that three new people liked it and nobody left.
No.
So
you know
they
what?
had some accounting problems.
I know what it is now. On March 12th, Facebook basically, it used to be that if someone liked your page and then killed their account, you had to keep the like. And on March 12th, they changed that policy and they took all those likes away.
Yep.
So I love all 599 people, and I'm going to ask all 599 people who have liked our page, if you listen to the show, please go and ask a friend to sign up so we can get over at 600, please. Because we're at 599. We just need one more. Just one.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, well, I'm feeling better because I thought we pissed off 10 people last week, and it took me, I had to talk it out to figure out what was going on.
Hey, if I can, I want to give one more shout out.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to give a shout out to Brad Richards of the Chicago Blackhawks, who just scored against the New York Rangers. Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Take it back. Don't give him another shout out.
You don't
Go
get any more
Hawks.
hockey shutouts, though, okay, Tony?
And yes, I am actually live watching the game while we're podcasting.
That
That's
explains
all right.
your bandwidth problem.
I've got the Dayton basketball game on the TV while we're on too, so
Oh God.
it's all good.
Well, I'm going to end this then, and you guys can get to watching the game. Let's see. So, you have any questions or comments? Call us at 575-51-DRIVE. It's 575-51-DRIVE. Leave us a voicemail. If it's really entertaining, we'll probably play it on the show.
Please call. How many calls have we ever received?
It's just so few. It's ridiculous. You just don't even want to know.
Just a little heavy breathing or something would be fine.
Anything. Yes.
There we go. Someone call and breathe heavy for Evan, please. Maybe just go, Evan.
This call is coming from inside the house.
I just traced it. Let's see. You can obviously you want to sign up at facebook.com/whatdrivesus. You can visit us there. We post news all week long, and we love to have you there and comment and discuss stuff. And sometimes we even try and respond to things on the show that were posted there. Of course, our main site, whatdrives.us, you can download the show. You can view the show streaming on video. You can download it in audio. You can also get the show through Stitcher and TuneIn, and who am I forgetting?
Wow.
Yeah, all over.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yes.
I don't want to say we're ubiquitous, but we're kind of all over the place. So I guess that's it. Hey, guys, thank you very much for propping me up without Cooper here this week. I appreciate it.
It was
You did great, man.
Patrick.
Yeah.
Evan.
Who needs him?
I need him. I desperately need him, actually. That's what this show proves every week. Thanks, obviously, to all of you for listening. That's the reason we do the show. Download us next week and find out what drives us.